Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. I'm your host, Mike Larkin, and joining me tonight, adult star and content creator, and an amazing one at that, Miss Lola Bootyluv. How are you, Lola?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me on, Mike. I love this.
You are very welcome, and thank you. I love having you because I got to say, a lot of great stuff has been going on in the world of content creation and adult entertainment. You have been doing the damn thing. So let's start off hot here before we really get into the overall general consensus of your career thus far in it. New Jersey Expo, doing the damn thing, meeting everybody, the whole fan base, everything just coming into fruition. How awesome was that experience?
Jersey was, I think, the best expo I've been to yet. Just we did so much, and I worked with a team of guys, Jiggy Jaguar with Tough Wing Studios, and Giovanni Valentino with Sexwork PR. And as a team, we could not have done this separate. And as a team, we came together and we just fucking rocked it out. It was amazing.
I think for you, what I love about it, and shout out to both Jiggy and Giovanni, I look at it from a stance too like this. When you have that great support system and that great team effort, as they say, the teamwork makes the dream work, so to speak. I look at it like this. When you look at the adult entertainment scene and overall conventions, it's fun, it's vibrant, you get to meet a lot of great people, it's networking at its finest. And I think with everything, not only do you get to shoot great content, which I know we'll get into the content here, but just the overall connections that you have. And also, number two, it's fun. I think you really get to see what a lot of people don't really understand about the greatness and the behind the scenes of just the connections and how overall fun these conventions are and how much of a fan base there really is for this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there were times when we're not filming, we were just hanging out, and you really, especially when you do more solo stuff and you don't work with a group that we did this time. You don't really get too much of that big interaction as we did this time, and I met some just super amazing people that I had met before, and then I also got to hang out with some friends that I don't get to hang out with often because we're always busy, busy, busy. But when we're all there to just shoot a shit ton of content all together in the three rooms that we had, it was super awesome. I can't say enough great things about it.
No, I'm right there with you. I look at it from an elegant standpoint. I mean, you see so many things. I remember there's a spot in Florida, which again, shout out to O-Town. I'll put here. There's a spot called Secrets Hideaway where it does a lot of great events. It's a resort and spa. It has like a little strip club in there. It has different type of rooms that showcases kink and fetish type of vibes. I think that's great because not only is it great for the clientele, but I equate it to like what we see with an Exotica or a New Jersey Expo or anything that's really adult oriented from like the AVNs, from whatever XBiz awards, what have you. It's the glitz, the glamour, it's the pageantry, it's the professionalism, it's the etiquette vibes. But I think at the end of the day, too, if there's nothing, if it's variety. There has to be something for everybody. There has to be that diversity to it. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is how unique people are within their preferences and what they're into, because there's a lot of cool people out there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you get people from all walks of life and different backgrounds and things that they do. And I did things this weekend that I've never done before because I met some people that were into different things, and I'm just like, I want to try it. Like, let me experience what you do. And it was just, it was amazing. It was a great sense of camaraderie between everyone. And it just, like, it's a great, like, I have to keep saying that. It was awesome.
It's totally cool because I look at it like this. I also kind of get giddy with it too, as well as because when you look at the adult entertainment industry, and I mean, as a young man, with what we consume from what we saw in the 80s and the 90s, so like with some kind of consume like the golden age when you had like your Jenna Jamesons and your Pam Andersons on these different type of covers of magazines. In the 80s, you had your Ginger Lynn and your Kinky Business and whatnot, the porn parody films. We've come such a long way, especially with many vids, OnlyFans, and so many different adult entertainment sites out there now than it is back in the day watching your Cinemax, aka Skinemax, if you will. I mean, there's a lot of classics and the nostalgia there, but the adult entertainment industry and content creation as a whole has come such a long way that it's great to see so many different avenues for content creators now.
Oh, absolutely. And then even from way back then, there's so many more body shapes and types now than there were back then. Back then you had to be, skinny mini, and you really couldn't do anything if you had a waist over a size 6. And now, I mean, you got BBWs on covers of DVDs and stuff, and that's just, it's all inclusive, and it's just such a wonderful and great thing to see that as time goes on, we're expanding and we're doing more and we're experimenting more and we're free to, and there's not that feeling of like shame and, oh, I'm going to get canceled if I do this. No, there's, everything is content. Someone is going to like something you do, and that's just kind of freeing in a way. Whenever you think of different scenes and stuff that you want to do, you're like, I wonder if this will sell. You know what I mean? Not sell, but I tend to look at it as I make the porn I want to see. So whether anyone else wants to see it or not, I want to see it. And I can put that out there and someone else is going to like it too. And the likelihood of that is so much greater now than it would have been back then.
I look at it like this. Well, first and foremost, when you're in front of the camera and behind the camera, the behind the scenes and the shooting that goes into it, it's work, it's a grind, but also at the end of the day, you want to have that best representation of your presentation, all around perfection of what you do. And I also equate it to this, much like any type of movie or film that we're doing, it's all about evoking emotions and eliciting reactions. You never know who you're going to gravitate towards. And I think that's one of the most rewarding feelings about the adult entertainment industry and entertainment as a whole. And I mean, you mentioned something that is so very keen and such a key component, man. I mean, shout out not only to just you and your awesome and fine self, but the BBWs out here with their voluptuosity factor and internal and external beauty, the body confidence, everybody. There's so many different walks of life, like you mentioned, and different body types. And I mean, I can say this personally, and I've said this on the show many of times. When I was a young man in my teenagers, I just turned 33 this year. I'll be 34 next year. I look at it like this. Like when I was a teenager, a lot of the girls that would come my way or who I would interact with and build foundation of relationships and friendships with, a lot of them were BBWs and they were good looking ladies. And I mean, you had a couple guys that would like look at you, but to me, if you can have that connection with somebody, doesn't matter the weight, doesn't matter what color, if you can have that equality, diversity, and overall connection with somebody, then it's worth it at the end of the day, man. So I love the confidence, and I've always been biased myself to some of the BB dubs that rock it, including yourself.
Thank you. But here's the thing, even that was what, 20 years ago? Because I'm 35. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
So back when we were in high school, like it was still almost at that point where, having a big ass wasn't a good thing. You were still considered fat by bad standards and whatever that nonsense is. We've come a long way just in this short time, and I think it's beautiful. I mean, you walk around these expos and you know us BBWs are wearing basically nothing, and we get the heads turning, and it's like there's times where it's almost imposter syndrome. It's like you're not looking at me, but they are, and it's such a boost of confidence, to if I could tell the teenager me, like, hey, just wait a little bit, you're gonna get heads turning. Like that would be, I don't know. I wish I could tell myself that in the
No, I feel you. I think it's the sexiness, man. And what I mean by that is, like, I've always, and this is just me because my mother is the most important person in my world. I love my mother to death. I think my mother, I'm just being raised around women, my mother and my grandmother, God rest her soul. That's always been instilled me to treat others the way you want to be treated. And the way my mother and my grandmother treated me, that's how I really view my standpoint and viewpoint on women as a whole. But you look at it like this, man. I mean, especially like you mentioned now with how everybody's so open to expanding their horizons and people in general. I mean, you deserve to get that look because not only are you styling and profiling, but I think what's great about it too is as well, if you have that spirit, and we mentioned evoking emotions and eliciting reactions, if you have that je ne sais quoi, and if you have that overall flair to it, there's a lot of different ways that a lot of people can have that law of attraction to someone. So, I mean, if you got it, flaunt it, one. But number two, if you just got it, exude and accentuate it. You really have to look at it just opening and expanding your horizons, which is what's great about today's day and age in 2024.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I before I got into this industry, I would have never walked around in some of the things I walk around in now.
I understand, but I think I look at it from a stance like this. If we can tell our teenage selves we want to kick ourselves in the doggone genital region or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Because you want to give ourselves a kick in the ass for what we didn't know then, but what we know now. And yes, I graduated high school like 14 years ago when I was 18 in 2010. I mean, I look at it like this, man, from 2010 to 2024 now, that's a long time in 14 years of people, just the evolution and revolution, so to speak, of how we view things. And I mean, I look at it from a stance like this, like you did a great scene. I'll put this over because, again, styling and profile and the nun scene that you did, very sensual, very sexy scene. You got to play a great role. I wanted to ask you about that because that came out to perfection.
Thank you. That was my second installment of my Naughty Nun series, where I find other naughty nuns and do naughty things. It was a scene with two of the Hard Nutter boys, the one BCP, I think that's how it is, Boss Man Breezy, and then Double XL Diesel, and it was just an awesome scene. I had an amazing time filming it. They utterly wrecked me. I don't know if you saw, I ended up with a huge facial. I couldn't even open my eyes. There was so much cum on my face. It was just amazing. And it's edited. It'll be out soon.
I will say what I love about your films and any of them that you do, and I say this to a lot of great content creators and performers, I think what really goes into it, not only just you on screen being the entertaining son of a gun that you are, but number two, Miss Lola Bootyluv. I look at it like this. You could tell when you're on screen, you're having fun, you're loving what you're doing. That does shine through. So I got to give you kudos and respect to that because it really goes a long way within your craft.
Thank you. I really do love what I do. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this if I was like, oh, I gotta have sex on camera. No. I've always been an info, so now I just get to film it and put it up for people to be like, oh hey, let me watch this.
And can we also talk about a name because it's all in the name? I got to say, I do love the Bootyluv name. I think not only just the attraction, just to the name and just what you put out into the universe, Miss Lola. I got to say, I love the Bootyluv name. Can we talk about that because it goes with it and it's a nice little flow to it? I really do enjoy the name. I think that's great.
We sure can. So on my other half, Lothario X, one night when we first decided we were doing this, we were kind of talking about names. So the Lola part actually was my old Dungeons and Dragons character. I was a prostitute then, and I'm like, well, I gotta bring Lola back to life. So I picked the Lola, and Lothario actually picked the Bootyluv because he likes big booties, and I have a big booty. So he's like, Bootyluv is your last name, and I said, okay, let's do it.
First of all, God bless you both. And number two, smart man, the voluptuosity factor of the booty. Yeah, yes, sir. Okay, but no, first of all, I love how that comes together. And first of all, Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so we're going to get into this. So I remember, and this is my early induction to Dungeons and Dragons because I was young at the time. I was born in 92. So I remember it being around. I do remember this one episode of Lizzie McGuire. Yes, I'll take it back to like 23 years ago now with Hilary Duff. There's this one episode of Lizzie McGuire where they had the Dungeons and Dragons like type of game that they got addicted to. It was called Dwarf Lord. And they had the like little the stuff like the everything that went into it, like the wizardry and everything with Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm like, that was my introduction to it, a parody of what we got to see in a Disney special. So I got to ask you about Dungeons and Dragons because number one, the nerdiness, number two, the nostalgia, number three, it's very fun if you really start to really get into it and really learn the craft of it. It is a fun game.
Oh, I absolutely loved it. My one campaign, I think we ran it for about 3 or 4 years. And then our DM was like, okay, you can do this. And it was a TPK. And it was like, okay. So that one got disbanded. And then it was a new campaign is where Lola came. And I love it. My daughter actually now, I don't have anyone in my area that plays it anymore. So I'm not able to be in it. But my daughter actually is in a campaign in her school with a bunch of her friends. So I've passed on my dice to her and all of my stuff, and I'm like, go forth and be nerdy.
I like your style. It's like that movie Role Models for those that remember that with Christopher Mintz-Plasse, McLovin, and you had Paul Rudd and you had Sean William Scott, and then he's LARPing and he's doing the Whispering Eye and talking about that and doing that in the middle of the field. Like it reminds me of that. Like I think it's very cool, and I mean, as they say, nerds rule the world, so to speak, fellow nerd over here. But I look at it like this: like a lot of that stuff. Not only is it cool, and a lot of people get into it, but I think I look at it from a stance too as well. Not only the nerdiness does it teach you like knowledge and adaptation to many different things, but it also is very cool just to really expand the horizons in the nerdiness front. Because if you may have not liked Dungeons and Dragons or you kind of swore it to the side, okay, go into it. Because I think a lot of us don't even realize, like, if you don't try something, number one, then you're never gonna know if you're gonna like it or not. But number two, it's like fuck all that bullshit to put in the most bluntest of terms of what anybody says. Just fucking do it. I think we learn that even as we even get older now, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, I know when I first started playing, I was like, this is kind of awkward, and then I was like, by like the third time we played, I was like, okay, this is really awesome. Like I got cool stuff, and it was fun. It was also camaraderie. With I think there was like 8 or 9 of us, and it was, I don't know, it's a good way to spend a couple hours on a Friday night and have fun.
No, I'm right there with you. I remember as a kid in high school, like I had a couple of friends that played Magic the Gathering, and we used to play that on our lunch breaks. I remember doing the Magic the Gathering type of stuff. There's so many different things. I mean, Pokemon even came back with the Pokemon Go and everything that they did with Pokemon.
Yep.
And especially look at anime for a short thing. A lot of people crap on anime, but I'm like, if you really watch or sit down and watch an anime series, like a lot of people don't realize like the emotion, the storytelling, and everything that goes into it. Like they just see it as like, oh, it's just some dumb cartoon or whatever. I'm like, no, if you really like break it down and you watch it,
Yeah,
there's a lot of deep meaning into it that you don't even understand.
absolutely. Fellow anime head here too. Yes, I'm
Nice.
totally with you on that.
Okay, yeah, because I think for me, it's not only like the Sailor Moons and like a lot of the stuff that came out, and like I said, we mentioned Pokemon and Digimon and the Yu-Gi-Ohs, but I think I've always gravitated towards like the cartoon side because people say what they will about cartoons. It could even be the most simplistic cartoons like the Alvin and the Chipmunks, for God's sake, just because it's Alvin and the Chipmunks and they're three talking chipmunks who sing. But at the end of the day, there's everything in life. I think you have to view it as an art form and as a story. Everything has a story to it, no matter how evoking of the emotions it gives you, whether it be silly, happy, mad, what have you. Everything is a story, and it's up to you and how you want to put those chapters into fruition and really how you want to write the story, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
And I gotta say this, speaking of stories, man, in your chapters, because the chapters keep on keeping on with you, Miss Lola Bootyluv. You have done some great scenes with the likes of Styx. You've been in there with Britannica. I gotta say this, I've seen a lot of your tenure on Pornhub as well as just everything that you've done right now. Let's start with Britannica first, because Britannica is another one, very voluptuous, beautiful lady. Talk about working with her because she's got it going on.
She's part of our core group that we have working on. We did Jersey. We're right now planning Chicago. She's just an absolute delight. I've known Britannica, oh my Lanta. It was before they even really got into the industry themselves, her and Jiggy. Um, I think it's like 4 years now.
Hot damn, okay.
Yeah, she's just an absolute, and maybe it's 3 or 4 years, one of the two, I can't remember. She's just an absolute delight, and she is so down for almost anything you can think of. And I needed someone for a scene the one day in Jersey, and I was like, "Hey, are you ready?" And she goes, "Give me a minute, and I'll throw something on." I said, "Okay, let's go." Then I threw into this like crazy weird scene, and she was just like, "Okay." She's just an amazing sweetheart. I can't say enough great things about her. She's a delight.
You two have great synastry and chemistry on camera, much like with everybody. I think the two of you really do showcase what I like to call that RDSA, that real deal sex appeal type of vibes, if you will. You two have great chemistry on camera.
Oh, she's a beautiful lady. I mean, how can I not?
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, okay. And I mean, I've seen you do your thing with Sticks, and I mean, I've seen a lot of your Pornhub clips as well. I think it doesn't matter who you're working with and what I say, whether it be an interracial scene or what have you. I think there's a lot of gentlemen, a lot of ladies out there. I think you could concur with me on this, who really do not only take their craft seriously, being the general consensus of it, but also number two, they're fun. They know what they're doing, and they really know how to make it safe and spectacular and really accommodate and comfortable for the person that they're doing the scene with.
Oh, absolutely. I know I've done several scenes with Sticks at this point now, and we're at the point now where it's just like, okay, what crazy thing are we gonna do today? And we just he knows we know each other well enough that we can just like make the scene flow and just keep going, and it just turns into just a beautiful, great scene.
Oh, absolutely. And I think what's very central about it, number one, is just the fact that it reminds me of kind of like, how people talk about just that overall, we mentioned synergy, but also that overall come together type of vibe, not pun intended on the come together, but come together, if you know what I'm saying, type of vibe where it's like mind, body, and soul meets just sensual, raw passion. I think that really goes into a lot of it. And like what I love about it too, as well as we mentioned Skinemax and Cinemax, so to speak, great storytelling to it, but also at the same time, it's like how many times do I got to watch Nicole Sheridan and Willow like have sex like back in the day? I know I'm taking it back for everybody at like 3 o'clock in the morning, but it's different films, but same actors and actresses. I think you really need to spice it up with what you're doing. So the many people that you get to work with, from a nice little chapter of just boom, boom, boom with your scenes, but also the different people, it makes for some spontaneous combustion, if you will.
Oh, absolutely. And even though some scenes I've done multiple scenes with same people, I almost think the second, third, fourth, whatever scenes are almost better because we know each other well. The first scene, you always, anytime you go in front of the camera with someone new, you're just like, okay, what's your do's and don'ts, and you have this whole list, and there's times where it's like, can I spank her ass? I don't know if I can. We didn't discuss it, so I don't know. Whereas, when you've done a scene a few times, by now with Sticks, he knows he can smack me as hard as he wants. He can choke me. He knows the boundaries enough that um, I don't know. It just makes it flow more, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely
And
does.
it makes it more.
Absolutely does.
It makes it more like free flowing. I guess I think is the word I'm looking for.
No, I know what you were meant, by the way. First of all, you said that beautifully and eloquently, my dear friend. But I look at it from a stance like this. Like you work with Thor Johnson, you work with Sticks. You mentioned that first, second, third, fourth time. I mean, it's experience, it's comfortability, and it's also at the same time, too, you're really getting to know the person and build that camaraderie and overall connection that we mentioned. So I think not only is that very cool, but also at the same time, too, it's like, hey, man, not only am I working with this person, but maybe somebody else might want to work with this person. So you're building that camaraderie and you're just building that overall, dare I say, to put it bluntly, awesomeness that comes with your personality and you as an overall performer. So, I mean, awesomeness is really running rampant when it comes to people like yourself and many content creators.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Oh, you are very welcome. That's really have to, yeah, you have to look at it. I always say within this show that life is an art form, and us as people are all applying our crafts. So it's all up to us to continue to apply our crafts in amazing fashion. And I mean, speaking of applied in amazing fashion, man, we got to talk about this. So I've seen a lot of your photos, beautiful imagery, by the way. We're gonna put this into fruition here. Like you've done a lot of the BDSM style stuff. I mean, you've done some cosplaying photos. I gotta say, badassery number one, but number two, not only does it really encompass what you're into, I like it. I dig it. I do like the vibes that you're putting down within those imagery.
That's not, I've never done cosplay.
You never have. I'm just saying because I've seen a lot of the Halloween stuff and like a lot of the stuff you did.
Oh, the Halloween stuff. Okay.
Yes.
I was like, I've never done full
Yeah,
cosplay.
like the Halloween stuff. Like I look at like the Halloween, like always kind of like done it with like cosplay and the pumpkins and everything. Like, oh,
Yes, no, we do Halloween stuff. We are spooky, creepy, scary people all the time. So Halloween never really ends.
okay. Fair enough.
Um, so some of the things you see that we put in Halloween, we've actually filmed like in Christmas or
Okay.
like February.
Okay, I can appreciate that. All right, I don't mean to laugh, but that's great. All right, we got to talk about this. I'm sorry, but when you said Halloween 24/7, do you know how many people I know that I grew up with from high school and people that coworkers I had that were like, I'm gonna do some like Nightmare Before Christmas type of vibes here, and then just do like Halloween over here and Freddy vs. Jason, and they kind of lumped it into one. I can appreciate that. That's dedication. I can appreciate that so much.
And see, I'm and my chair has Nightmare Before Christmas blanket.
Nice. Okay, I love that. All
Yeah,
right, perfect.
favorite.
Oh,
It's actually one of the inspirations behind my colors, which are black, Tiffany blue, and pink.
I like it. Okay. All right. You see what I like about it too, as well as, and I've always just because I've seen a lot of the stuff with Halloween that I can appreciate. I think what I've always loved about the Halloween type of vibes, even as a kid, even especially getting to adult, not only just giving out candy because number one, it's candy, but number two, like a lot of the kids nowadays really getting to animate, like we mentioned, the cosplay type of style that we get to see a lot in today's day and age, which is so popular. But the fun still goes to what we used to have as Halloween, and even especially them now with what they want to dress in that camaraderie. Like Halloween is just like we mentioned, endless. Like you talk about 24/7 Halloween. It's something that a lot of people get into, and it's really great to see that still holds up even as we get older, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, spooky vibes all the way. That's why, in a scene, typically, unless I'm a special character or something, it's a black smoky eye because it Halloween. Black is my favorite color in the world, and I'm gonna full force go into it.
No, you have to. And first of all, I dig the black type of vibes too. I think it's funny because I've always said about like colors, like I'm a blue guy and black as well is really up there with me. I just like the brightness of blue, as you could tell with the shirt I'm wearing, but also at the same time with the black. Black is also very cool because I mean, you look at like how the emo type of vibes with goth, it's the aesthetic, you know what I'm saying? With everything that they do with the type of style, the aesthetics go into everything, right? Like the black
Yeah.
fingernails or what have you. The aesthetics is what really is eye popping, number one, but number two, it's cool because you're going against the norm. It's like when you look at like a Barbie type of doll type of vibe, Barbie's cool, but then you have something over here and it's like, okay, look at this. This is unique. It's different. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're changing up the image, but also you're starting a trend in your own right,
Hmm.
which is very, very cool just to see. Like, I mean, how awesome is it to see how much trends have really been coming on with so many different avenues? And really, again, people really getting to express themselves and do their thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know I do throw colors on sometimes just because I gotta change it up a little bit. They can't see me in the same black. I don't have that many black. I have a lot of black clothes. I can't say I don't have that many. I have a lot of black clothes. But I change it up sometimes. But always, if I get a chance to wear black in a scene or out in public, I wear black. It's my go-to color.
It is, and I gotta say, you rock the hell out of it. Badass and black. Let's put that into fruition right there, folks. Now, I look at this, Miss Lola Bootyluv. I did mention a name, Miss Daisy Chains. Had her back on my LFC podcast for Lingerie Fighting Championships. Put you over. Had to give you a shout out. You two, we mentioned the imagery factor. Y'all two look good together, number one, but also number two. What a dynamo she is in her own right.
I know she's an absolute delight of a human being. I'm so sad she moved away. She moved. I don't know if she said where she moved, so I'm not going to say that. But she moved away, so I don't really get to see her anymore. But no, I last I know she's doing great out there and she's doing amazing. But we filmed 2 scenes together. I think 2 scenes together, and they were just. I've never come so close to eating a woman's vagina before. That's not something I've done on camera, and I almost ate hers. It was just a very beautiful pussy. And a very beautiful lady. I mean, she's a dynamite character all on her own.
I look at it like this too. I think what I love about Miss Daisy Chains, it really spots on with me, is the spirit. Like I said, she just has such a beautiful spirit, much in your own right, ma'am. We'll put that into fruition. But I look at it like this: if you really have that exuberance, and dare I say, that accentuates just that overall foundation, I think it's wonderful. And plus, she's always smiling. It's always good vibes. That's most important when meeting people and connecting. You got to have that good vibes.
Oh, absolutely. And she brings all the vibes plus 10 more.
And also, I mean, you look at the BDSM side of things, like how crazy is it? I mean, we talk about uniqueness and preferences and fetishes and everybody just showcasing their kinks, especially in today's day and age. But I mean, you look at the BDSM category of just the chips, the whips, the chains, and everything that goes into it. I mean, that's also very cool. It's very sensual and also has its own type of vibes. Like, it's a crazy, like, to see what really like piques one's interest, number one, but also number two, how popularized these different categories are, man.
Oh, absolutely. And she really goes full force into that. And I think it's amazing and wonderful. And I wish I could. I am such a sub. It is not funny. I can be a dom for about 5 minutes and then it's like, okay, no thanks, I'm done. And she just rocks it so well, and she's just amazing at everything she does. Yeah. I wish I had the confidence in the BDSM world that she does.
So you only give it 5 minutes for being the dominatrix, and then just back to being the sub, huh?
Yeah, then I'm like, okay, I'm back to being the good girl. I'm done.
Hey, well, you had a little brief lapse of dom in you. That's pretty cool. That lasts more than a lot of people do, so that's cool. No.
Exactly.
What I also do love about too, and we mentioned about the films and the different types, and we mentioned the Nun, we mentioned the Halloween stuff. Like, isn't it great just to see? I got to ask you about the role play side of things, because the creativity that goes into the adult entertainment world. Like, we talk about storytelling, we talk about the raw passion of the scenes, but how awesome is it to really showcase the creativity and see what sticks and see what doesn't, but also at the same time too, people don't really realize the creativity that goes into it to really put something out for the masses, so to speak.
Oh yeah. I do anything. Whoever I'm working with is comfortable with. I really do love doing story scenes. The more intricate I can go, the better. Just because it makes it more than just sex on camera. Because we all can have sex on camera. That's you know what I mean. 20, 30 minutes, and boom, you're done. I really like the stories just because some of the stories you come up with are wild. I mean, I did one in Jersey actually where I was with Britannica, and we were making out, and I was like, I'm gonna get the strap tonight, and I was like, oh no, the strap broke, and I was like, let me go look at the door, and then I looked through the peephole, and we even have the camera pans to the peephole, and you see someone looking in, and then I pull them in, I pull them into the scene, and even just that little bit is something I haven't seen it in a video before. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but it's, add a little bit of story into it. It's kind of like, oh, okay, I like coming up with stories because it's different every time based on what you have, who's around, and who's down for doing what crazy story this time.
Look at it from a stance like this. It's when we used to have the websites back in the day. I remember as a 13-year-old, and this is taking it back to 2005. Like, I remember, like, there was a website called Big Sausage Pizza, and it was just they come to the door with the pizza, little thing in the middle, boom, there's the sausage, pun intended, and then we get to a scene. So it's like deliver the pizza with some sausage, so to speak. Like that quirkiness, that kind of like maybe cheesiness, pun intended, with the pizza, by the way. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's something. It's entertainment. Also, I agree with you wholeheartedly about that, because what we see with different type of films and porn parodies and just in general, what really makes the scene into it is boom, here we are, boom, boom, boom. You set the stage from what we get to see to that climax, to that pinnacle, so to speak, of said films. I mean, it comes with the territory, so to speak.
Yeah, and especially in just regular everyday content creation, we typically get, the golden time is like 20 to 30 minutes. We get 20 to 30 minutes to tell a story and also have an amazing, great sex scene in there. It's very different than the movies that are out now, where you have a whole, hour or so to tell an entire full length thing. So to be able to do it in 20 minutes, I think 30 minutes, I think is almost poetic in a way. You tell a full story front to back, and in the middle and all that, and then you also have a great sex scene in there. It's difficult and challenging and amazing, and I love whenever I can do it.
Now, I gotta ask you, because what I always love talking to people about, and we'll get to more of your scenes here in a second here, but I always love diving deep into getting into the adult entertainment industry, because I gotta say, first and foremost, your career thus far has been nothing but superb, number one. And number two, I urge anybody to check out Lola Bootyluv over here doing her thing. And number three, what kind of gravitated you towards it, just because of the fact, like we mentioned, the funness as we're talking about in today's forum, but what really kind of gravitated you toward it? I mean, as a teenager, you get to experience your preferences even for having sexual intercourse, but what really kind of like gravitated you, said, hey man, I want to do some adult entertainment, I want to make some content, boom.
So I've always really enjoyed sex my whole life.
Okay.
Then I met Lothario, and we decided to be swingers, or in the lifestyle, or whatever term anyone wants to use. And then one night we got really, really drunk, and we were like, if we could do anything in the world, what was our dream? And I was like, I want to be in porn. I want to have sex on camera. And, I enjoyed having sex all the time anyway. Why not make money doing it? I think that would be crazy. See my name on like a DVD colors cover. I think that would be wild. And then he's like, okay. So then we kind of put swinging and porn together, and filmed a few videos with some of our swinger friends, and put it online, and came up with the name and everything. And it was like, oh, it reached 100 views. That's crazy. Oh, 1,000. Oh, and it just kept going. And I was like, I could do this. So then it kind of just, it progressed from there. And it's been Lothario and I doing this, on our own ever since.
I will say this, much loving once more to both you and Mr. Lothario. I look at it like this, man. What I love about it too, as well, is the gravitational pull that it really does. And I will have to say this. It's funny because, like, we touched upon the evolution of porn in the adult entertainment industry. I remember when I was probably, geez Louise, again, probably goes back to like 12 or 13, right? The first ever porn site that I think I've ever encountered as a youngin, like puberty wise, was probably a website. I don't even know if it's out now still. It's girlshuntinggirls.com. And the preference was, and the overall story was, they're in the van, they pick up a girl, then they go back to the house, and it's a sex scene. Like, we touch upon stuff that's evolved, but I think that vast memory sticks out of like, okay, I like this and I want to see where this goes, just because, again, sex and everything, the desire and everything, that eruption and combustion, so to speak, that really does make it worthwhile. Then I got to ask you, and again, I know we're touching back to like retro and nostalgia here that everybody really gets in the feels over, but Lola, do you remember what was like one of the first scenes, or dare I say the first actress or porn actor that you saw that you're like, man, like this is something that I'm into, you know what I'm saying?
Um, so when I first started getting into porn, you
Okay.
smartphones weren't a thing yet.
Yes.
Tells you how far back.
Right.
But it was those little porn stories they had on sites.
Yeah.
So I did those first. But my first actual actor was Shane Diesel, and he is on my bucket list. I've talked to him. At some point, I'm hoping to be able to fuck him. But it was Shane Diesel was I think my very first. Oh my God, look at that! That's crazy. And yeah, I think it was Shane Diesel, and there was one other. Oh no, I can't. I'm not going to think of their name. It's going to be way too far gone from there. I know they quit the industry a long, long time ago. But yeah, this would have been early 2000s as well.
First off, shout out to Shane Diesel, Blackzilla, man. Yeah, look at this one. Got the good taste in the adult entertainment. I like your style. Okay, all right now. First of all, yes, I remember. Okay, now we're gonna bring my fandom into this as well. I remember the first ever Blackzilla. I remember just going to the website and seeing like the list of like the people that he worked with, and I'm like, this man is just friggin' big pimping over here, spend the cheese like he's Jay-Z, and then you get these beautiful women that he's working with. Oh my God. As a teenager, you're just like, damn, you know what I'm saying? You're just shocked by just the amount of just stuff that's really combined into this catalog, this portfolio of Shane Diesel films. So I attest and agree with you on that, because he's a legend. Put at the forefront, he's a legend.
He is absolutely a legend. I had his dildo at one point, but we used it so much I broke it.
Wow. Okay.
still have it in a bag. I still have cleaned it off and everything, but I have it in a bag. And part of me is like, I want to take this whenever I do. I finally get to meet him and have a scene. I think I want him to sign it just for me, and I'm going to put it in a frame. Because who breaks a damn dildo?
Well, I mean, first of all, I mean, that doesn't. I'm going to put this into fruition. Okay, when you're in the heat of passion and that happens, I mean, you can understand like somewhat to a certain extent, but two, I mean, that just tells everything right there. Just the freak factor, letting the freak flag fly, number one, but also number two, you're that involved and that enamored with passion, then boom, it happens. Boom.
I used to I would mount him onto my headboard, and because my headboard's kind of slanted and it was a perfect angle, and something about that is how it broke.
Fair enough. You just put a mental image in my head. Okay, I can see. I can definitely see that now. I'm just imagining the position and just the headboard. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
He was one of because a lot of custom videos wanted me to use his dildo for it, and I was like, okay, I can't be mad about that.
And that side of thing, I just want to add, how awesome is it to see, like we mentioned, like the variety, but how awesome is it to see the customs that these fans come with? Because again, the interaction, number one, but also number two, so creative, right?
Yes, some wild ones. I have had to say no to a few, but no, sometimes they come up with some great scenes, and I'm just like, I'm gonna make this custom for you, and then I'm gonna figure out a way to flip this into a scene with someone else, because like that is crazy. So no, I really enjoy making customs. I wish I could do more. Not too many people order them as much anymore, today's economy, unfortunately. But I love making customs. I think they're just so fun.
I gotta say, first and foremost, I smiled as soon as you said, yeah, there's a lot that you have to say no, because number one, there are some very unique people out there, but then it kind of just goes up to like that level where it's like, now you're gonna have to pull it down like a little bit, like, nah, you can't get to that level. Like, which war have you kind of seen more of, like the custom show? It's like, it's okay, cool, we can do like something with this to turn to a scene, or has like the outweighed of just like, no, like kind of like outweighed like some of the good, so to speak, or is it kind of like half and half?
I've had more good than I've had to say no to. There's just somewhere, there's limits to the things I'll do. There's not very many limits, but there's a few limits, and I don't tend to get close to that line.
Fair enough. Fair enough. No, I look at it like this too. I mean, I think that goes with everything. Like there can be too much of a good thing, and then there's just out there, bizarre, out of this world type of vibes. And I mean, when you look at things that are out of this world, and I mean this in the most complimentary side of things, and we mentioned the Bootyluv and the amazing BBW community, you've gotten the chance to work with a lot of out of this world performers such as Natalie Kinky, Kayla Peach, Missy Deep, all beautiful, beautiful ladies who are just real deal sex appeals in their own right, dynamos, as the aforementioned term is. Talk about working with these ladies, because my God, chemistry, synergy, I love it.
I've only gotten to work with Missy. I think we did 2 scenes together. It was in one day. We did 2 scenes together. She was an absolute delight to have over. She came fully ready. She had a whole bag of outfits. She goes, "All right, what am I putting on and what are we doing?" So no, she was super great to work with. And then who else? Natalie. I've actually worked with Natalie on many different occasions. Um, I've done quite a few content houses with her. She just came to Jersey. She is, it's all in the name, kinky. I mean, she is down for anything. I I think my favorite scene of hers, I wasn't even in it. I didn't even film it. I just watched the clip of it later, where we had another actress on the bed, and she's laying there with her head in her hands, and she goes, "I'm hungry." And then the camera just pans over, and you see Natalie sitting there on the bed. She's got these crazy like sheriff shades on and this giant black strap on, and she goes, "I got something you can eat." Just the visual of it. They were in matching white outfits, and then just it was amazing. And I'm just like, that's Natalie Kinky for you. She is a doll face. But no, we always do something crazy whenever I'm with Natalie. There's always some crazy scene happening. Who else did you say? Kayla Peach.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, she's in Vegas. I've gotten to work with her when I did a Vegas trip, I think 2 years ago. She's an absolute delight. I keep trying to get her to come to an expo to come do more scenes with us. But no, she's an absolute sweetheart and a delight. And I wish I lived closer so I could film more with her because she's another. All these ladies are just amazing. I can't not say they're not because they're great and they're the chemistry is there and they're just so into just making amazing content and that's just so refreshing. If
Oh,
that,
absolutely. I have to agree with you on that. You made me smile as soon as you said refreshing because I think in today's day and age, especially in the social media climate and climate just as a whole, everybody's doing more of this instead of this. United, not divided, ladies and gentlemen. United front is always wonderful and it's refreshing to admit that word to see. And I mean, it's funny. I had Kayla actually on the show not too long ago, and we were talking, like I mentioned, the Halloween, which everything, again, Halloween 24/7 and dressing up and we might mention cosplay and stuff. She did mention that if she was to do a porn parody, because that is another big one in the categories and markets, she did mention that she would want to do something of the Daria type of vibes from MTV. And we laughed because I could definitely see that. And also, nobody's ever done like a Daria porn parody before. It's very unique and it's very creative. And plus, very influential figure in pop culture, especially in MTV.
oh, absolutely. I grew up with Daria. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would have never even thought of making her into a porn parody, but that sounds absolutely genius.
I told her I'd watch it. If anybody was to make that or content or a Daria parody starring Kayla Peach, I would be all up in that. I love Daria too. From the days of her, Beavis and Butthead, and everything that we had on old school MTV. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. That sounds. See, I never take it back. See, I was thinking more along the lines of like the old crazy weird movies like Dr. Caligari is one that I've always wanted to make into a parody of some kind because it's there. It's on the cusp, but there's no sex. I don't know thought it's a crazy movie.
No, I've heard the name now. You've kind of enticed me to want to see that now. Thank you for putting that into my recommendations. I appreciate that. But
Absolutely watch it. It's wild.
oh, I concur with you. And I mean, I think that's where we get a lot of our influences really from our surroundings and what we take in and how we really take it in and evoke the emotions and elicit the reactions. And I got to say, the reaction that you give is not only just pleasantry and just overall wonderful and just overall, we mentioned awesomeness, but just an overall delight. Lola Bootyluv, I do have a couple final questions for you before we close this out. And I will put the overture out here. Anytime you want to come back on for round two, I'd love to have you. This has really been a blast picking your brain tonight.
Oh my god, yeah. Whenever you want, just let me know. I love chatting with you. This is amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The feeling is mutual. And the couple final questions I have with the vast knowledge that you have and everything that you've learned thus far within your tenure in the adult entertainment industry and porn and content creation as a whole, I have to ask you, what advice would you give to people who are on the come up, who want to get into the industry and really want to learn more and absorb and take it all in? What advice would you give them?
Um, I would tell them to pick a porn name and do research on it. Check every site to make sure it's not close enough to someone else that you'll get missed. And pick an at and make that your at for every site you use. And also sign up for every site. Whether you use it or not, steal the at so no one else can take it. And use the same at for everything so that it's so easy for people to find you. Mine is L Bootyluv. I think I have two in the early beginnings. I put Lola Bootyluv, but everyone's so used to L Bootyluv that they don't find the Lola ones.
Beautifully and eloquently said. You see, I like the simplistic of that. Number one, number two, the marketing, but number three, keep it simple as it is. Keep it simple is the way to go. I like that. And also, L Bootyluv also does have a nice little ring and flow to it within your social media. So kudos also on that front, man.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Now, before we do close this out, I will say this as well. The other question I did want to ask you before I have you plug the socials, we did mention the evolution of porn and the community that it brings with all so many great people and fans that really love the interaction and the content as a whole. How awesome is it to see sites like, I mean, even during COVID time, like your ManyVids, your OnlyFans, your Loyal fans, and so many sites really coming to fruition that a lot of people are gravitating towards.
So I actually started just before COVID started. I started at the very tail end of 2019.
Okay.
And then I was running a restaurant when COVID hit. So I worked, 70,000 hours a week with and a 2 hour commute every day. So I didn't have a whole lot that happened then. Um, I had Lothario was not in a essential working position, so he kind of just learned social media and ran that for me while I worked like a dog. So no, I didn't get the big COVID boom that everyone else did. If I had started 6 months earlier, I totally would have, and that would have been great. But I didn't get the big COVID boom. But I'm okay with that, because I think if I would have gotten the big COVID boom and got big all in it, and then it just kind of like a lot of them just kind of tapered off. I think I don't know if I would have stayed as long. I would have been like, oh, well, they don't like me anymore. So in a way, I'm actually kind of glad I didn't get in the big COVID boom. I got in just after it, and I'm okay with that.
Fair enough, and I think that's how you have to look at it too. And as much as I enjoy the community and the OnlyFans because I've gotten to meet a lot of talent there myself, but I look at it from a stance too as well. It's a tough time for everybody. Everybody lost a lot during COVID, and I mean it's affected people in many different ways and variations. But I think, especially now in today's day and age, as we have grown as people, and especially in the year 2024, so many outlets and so many things to really put your name out there. I think it is a great time to really start getting into it and making those connections, as you should. That goes with any line of business because everything you really in life is a business.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of business, we're about to get down to some biz and ness. Miss Lola Bootyluv, where can we follow you on these social media fronts? I know you just stated it. Let everybody know. Please go right ahead, ma'am.
You could go straight to my website, Lola Bootyluv, LOLABOOTYLUV.com. And on there, you'll find links to every page that I am on. And you can pick your favorite one. You can also tip me. You can order customs from me. You can order clothes. I have merch. I have all kinds of stuff. Just go to the website and pick your poison, so to speak.
Check her out on Twitter, Instagram, and her website. She is a great follow and has a great site I think y'all will enjoy. And I will say this, to quote the great T-Pain, let us see that booty work, and everything that goes into the Bootyluv name, as well as Miss New Booty. Get it together, bring it back to me. Bubba Sparks, Yin Yang Twins. I know I'm a dork. So if y'all want to check out yours truly, SM Showrunner MCL92 on Twitter, Larkin_92, I'm Larkin MB on Instagram, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Mike Larkin92. I just started this thing up. Over 1,000 subscribers now. Let's keep boosting up, and I appreciate y'all that have been supporting me thus far. And you get to see great content and great interviews like this one over here doing her thing as she can. So, Miss Lola Bootyluv, do you have any final words to your fans, to the people that have been supporting you since day one, and everything that has been going on within your tenure thus far? Any final words to the peeps?
Just know that I love you, and I think fans are amazing. And if you see me in public, come say hi. There's so many where I get the look, and I'm like, you know me. Come say hi to me because I want to meet you. I'm not going to go to you, but come say hi. If you see me in person, come say hi. Give me a big old hug. We'll take photos, all the whole thing. And I love you. Your fan. I would not be doing this without you.
Well, we all love you too. And I will say this, if we are ever in person, ma'am, I'm giving you a big old hug, and I look forward to that hug, Miss Lola Bootyluv. If y'all want to check it out as well, folks, as we always say, life is an art form. We're all applying our crafts. Continue to apply your craft in amazing fashion, as the mindset and message of this show is beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And Lola Bootyluv, I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time. This has been a blast.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Come talk to me. I love the way you're on to me. Looking at you, looking like you're wondering if we're here for the same reason. And now that you wanna lay in the sun, getting love drunk, sticking like honey. Yeah, I bet you're here for some fun with that someone, feeling that something. If you're looking for a good time, honey, I'm right here. If you're looking for a good night, good vibes, honey, I'm right here. And I'm waiting for you. And I love you in your summer skin. Looking at you, looking like you're into it. 'Cause we're here for the same reason. Yeah, I just wanna something. If you're looking for a good time, honey, you're right here.